Hi, welcome to this video from racingbetdata.com looking at the results and odds standalone daily file. This file can be located within the R data section of the website, so the engine room really where all the data is, and it's the third option down, and we can click on that and open up the landing page. Now you can see I'm already signed in, my account status etc is on the top there, so I'm already in as an advanced member. That means I have access to not only the current day's file, but also the archive down the right hand side. So these files were created, and like I said, they stand outside of the main dashboard, so not connected in any way. Standalone files for price movements in play specifically, created in August 2020. And we have generally kept these in the same format since, but there is a changelog here that shows where we made slight additions to the early inception of this form. Now, we did have some feedback from quite a lot of members when we were making changes to not just this, but the pre-race download file as well, that making additions, adding in columns and making changes affected their templates and their automation. So we took that feedback on board and had a hiatus agreement at the end of 2021, so September 2021, that we would make no further changes to the pre-race download file, the data dashboard, or the results and odds standalone file, unless they were critical additions or they were requested multiple times by users, and usually the two are linked together. We said we'd honour that and preserve that. We've obviously made some significant improvements and changes to the data dashboard, but what we do there and what we can do is add any additional columns to the far end, to the right hand side of those outputs. So your structure in itself will not change. You can then add in, if you would like, the additional information, but it would always be on the right hand side to not to disrupt the layout, the order of those columns. With the results and odds standalone file that we're looking at here, or we'll be looking at, it's a bit more difficult because the right hand side is preserved for the in-play odds. So any additions that we have to make are usually in between that and some other data. So it will disrupt the layout, unfortunately. So we've made that agreement that we will not disrupt that where we can, where possible, to avoid it, unless, like I said, it's a critical add-in. But you can see the changes there that we made, like I said, for the early inception of this form, but it's been stable for the past 2 years, or since the end of 2021, and should be here on in. So let's get into the file itself. We can scroll down, so you'll see here as an advanced member that the last upload date. So this file runs throughout the afternoons and into the evenings where there is racing happening, and should upload every hour on or around the hour to update with the current up-to-date day's racing. There's a final upload at around 10:30 p.m. UK time, which is like the final summary. All racing should be wrapped up by then. So that's the last one. That's the one that gets archived for the next day, and then the new one comes in. As a basic member, you can download a sample, so that will give you a flavor. You'll be able to look at what's in there, the content, and I'm going to talk you through that as well in this video. So I'm going to click on the download and open that file up. Very quick. Like I said, it's standalone. And to be honest, this is all pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to take you through it anyway for the purpose of this video. Date. So this should always be today, unless you're looking at it in the morning, and it will be the previous day's file. But that, we're just looking at one day standalone archive, next day comes in. So it's always a one-off standalone file. So it should always be today or yesterday's dates. The place, pretty obvious, where the horse finished. The Betfair SP rank. So this is calculated within this file itself. So it's worth pointing out that this is completely standalone. The data dashboard and the pre-race download file are intrinsically linked. So even though the pre-race download file is a standalone file, most of the information from there flows out of the database, out of the data dashboard, and some now actually gets pushed back in. Whereas this one is completely in isolation and a separate feed totally from Betfair. So that's where there's some little disparities, which we'll cover through the course of this video. So yeah, Betfair SP rank. So that is simply a rank of the Betfair SP starting odds. So you can see here with this horse was ranked number 1, was the favourite 3.2, so the lowest odds. That's the Betfair SP rank favourite through to outsider. Industry SP, and this one's denoted with the favourites. You can see here that the industry SP was 2-1, and that converted into decimal was 3. Race time, 24-hour clock, how many runners, track name, and again, there's a slight. Some of these are are suffixed with the country of origin, so that's why there's a slight disparity with the data dashboard and the pre-race download file. But there is a handy little function that you can use in later versions of Excel. You can type in text before. Now I'm on an older version, so I can't show you. It doesn't actually work on here. But if you have a newer version, you can type in text before and comma, and you can bracket, sorry, and you could use that open bracket as a unique hook. So I just want to see the text before that open bracket, and that exports, so you can remove those bracketed, and it works well on horses as well, and I'll explain that in a second. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm on an older version of Excel here, so I don't have it, but I'm sure anybody Excel savvy can work that out, or have a little look around the search engines to understand a bit about text before. So that's a useful function. We'll do some more on that when I get onto a PC with a newer version of Excel. Distance, pretty self-explanatory. Class, sorry, I didn't use the class, but this is obviously UK only, so the class rating of the race. The age of the horse name. So I did just say about that text before. Now, here's one slight little quirk, if you like. This is a direct Betfair feed, so the horse names are, as you will see on Betfair. Now, those are generally 99.9% of the time identically linked and matched to what's in the database. So the database horse naming convention we have should link in exactly to Betfair. However, there's an exception where there's what we call dual active horses. So let's take Tax for Max, for instance. There may be 2 active Tax for Maxes, not necessarily in the same race or at the same track or even the same day, but there may be 2 that run alongside each other at the same time, active at the same time. Now, obviously, in the pre-race download file and the data dashboard, you want to be able to differentiate between the 2 because you're looking at data over a longer period of time, horses' histories, doing analysis on head-to-heads, exporting larger chunks of data over time. So you need to be able to tell which is which. So that's why we've got the suffix on there, and that will be bracketed, and it will say something like FR if it was a French horse. On here, because this is a standalone one day, it's a file for that day, unless there are on the very unique occurrences where there's a horse with the same name running the same day, these will not have those suffixes, which is where there's that slight disparity. But again, using that text before, if you wanted to cross-pollinate across the results and odds file and the pre-race download or a data dashboard extract, you can use that text before formula to remove any suffixes when doing lookups or sums and counting of horses, etc. So I digress slightly, but that's just to explain why you might notice the same horse or the same track and it's got slightly different naming in this file compared to the rest of the site. Moving on, so we've got the weight. I'm just going to unfreeze these panes so we can scroll across to the right hand side. We've got the weight, the trainer, the jockey, the official rating of the horse, if applicable, the full race name, and again that's pulled direct from Betfair, so it's not something we have stored. We have the race type, but we don't have the race name because, and I'll tell you why, I'm going to bore you a little bit, but the dashboard is made up of IDs in behind. What you don't see in the back end is IDs. Now, to have a separate ID for every race name would be impossible, and the storage size needed would be it'd be beyond comprehensible to a level where the cost to maintain that would be astronomical, therefore passing on additional membership costs, which isn't really necessary. I don't think we've had anybody really say, oh, we need the race name in the data dashboard. It's not a unique. It's not a deciding factor when you're doing any studying, really. It's useful perhaps to see, but you can get that source of information anywhere. So having it in the dashboard isn't really applicable, but it's in here. The going, obviously the race itself. Oh, did I miss one then? Headgear worn. Now those abbreviations can be picked up from many places around the site already. If you're not aware of what they are, there is reference tables, and I'll make sure there's one on the landing page for this for the results and odds download, so you can have a look, reference it. The winning distance. Now, okay, I'll explain this. So the winning distance here is winning distance to the horse in front in the first number, and then bracketed is the winning distance between the horse and the winner. So again, slightly different to how it's displayed in the data dashboard, where we look at the distance between the winner and the horse you're looking at. The minimum price and the maximum price. So again, I'll explain why this is slightly different, and this is the reason why we have this as a standalone. It's another feature and function compared outside of what we have in the dashboard. So we'll record, we have a stream feed here that records the price movements before the race and in play. And what this does is pick up, oh, I've gone too far, pick up the minimum and the maximum that were traded. Now, what we don't capture in here is the amount traded. It's just a race is going so quickly, the price is all over the place. So it's capturing the price movements, about 3 captures every 2 seconds, roughly. It fluctuates between race to race and day to day, but that's roughly speaking. So it could be that this horse here, when we look at it in the database tomorrow, UX Machin, might not pronounce that correctly, totally haven't. It might be that the minimum price on the data dashboard and the pre-race download file show as 1.8 because those are capped at certain volumes. So price matched, minimum £100 has to be matched for that to show as an in-play low. Whereas this, it could be that was £40, £20, it could be £1. So the minimum price on here will reflect how low it actually went, whereas the data dashboard and the pre-race download file can be used when you're back testing, which is the intention, or deriving strategies with a reliably gauged factor in there to say, well, okay, it's a minimum of 100, so the likelihood increases that you would get matched at that level, at that in-play low, 1.8 in this example, whereas 1.7, there's no value attributed to that, so the guarantee of getting matched at that level, you cannot make that assumption as clearly or as accurately as you can from the capped levels at £100 or currency equivalent. Same for the max. The horse's silk number, the pace rating, so that does align completely with the data dashboard. So useful. So we've spoken before on other videos about the pace rating. Highest being likely front runners, lower being lower numbers, lower pace ratings being likely held up, and then the middling numbers, the horse is expected to take up midfield positions. So you can use this, and people do, and we've done videos on it in the past, looking at, does a high pace rating mean that horse gets off to a quick start? The winning time, okay, so that's the winning time of the race, not that horse, so that's the winning time. So the horse that won, what was that time that it won the race in? The prize money on offer for that race. Then we have the Betfair SP, and then we have these price breaks. So these are the last recorded price, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute before the scheduled off, and the price at the post time. Okay, so this was the actual starting price. This was the price traded last price traded at post time. And then we have, from right to left, the in-play price stamps, as I've said before, roughly 3 every 2 seconds, through to the last traded price of the race itself. Now, generally, you'll see every horse, apart from the winner, the winner will be down at 1.01. Every other horse will be generally around 1,000. Obviously, not always. There might be a photo finish, for instance, or a closer finish where you don't always see every horse traded out to 1,000 on here. And I'm just going to scroll to the right, so you'll see, depending on the race distance, will depend on how many price stamps you get. So you can see here these top 5, 6 columns, there's more of them because the race was longer, 2 mile 6 compared to a 2 mile 2 and a 1 mile 2. So that would be quite a nice way of showing it. So you stop here on the 1 mile 2, you stop there on the 2 mile 2, and you go all the way up here for the 2 mile 6. And you can see those prices as they started, so that'll be the first traded price here. And you can graph or map out and study the movements of that horse or any of the horses as the race evolved and developed all through there. So we've done videos on that in the past. That's not really what this one's about. This was to show you the file. Now there's one more thing that I can show you, which is the filter section here. Now these are slicers. If you don't know about slicers, again, take a bit of time out to have a look into them on the internet, see what they're about. But essentially filters on the races that are already in here. So you can see here, there's 53 runners, 7 winners, so 7 races. The win percentage, 13.21. And if you had backed every horse to win on Betfair using a £1 stake, you'd be £18 and 4p down. And if you'd backed every horse £1 stake industry XP, you'd be £22.76 down. These do include commission, the Betfair ones. And to lay every horse using Betfair odds, you'd be £17.47 up. Now the slicers, you could look at, well, I just want to look at the Betfair SP ranked 1, so the favourites of Betfair. So there were 7 selections, 4 of them have won, so strike rate's 57%, and you'd be, to your £1, you'd be £2.73 up. So that's where you can use your slicers. Click on there, so that clears it. Depending on which version of Excel, you might have another little function in here, and that will allow you to select multiple. So if I wanted to select rank 1 and 2, I have to do that by holding the control key. But you will have that option, that toggle option, to allow you to either select just one or multiple on newer versions of Excel. So that's what the slicers are for. Play around with them, have a look. When I've applied that slicer, obviously you can see that the horses have been excluded that do not meet that. If I undo that, all the horses are active again. These were the favourites. You can see those, you can hone in on those. And then we've got some output here on those horses as well. And double clicking here will give you the full output for those races that you've selected. So that is the standalone download file. Hope you find it of use. I'm sure you will. It's been in inception for nearly 3 years now. So really popular. Another great tool. Standalone, outside, offers something different. Have a look, play around, see what you think. Thanks for your time.